Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very, very much. And today we welcome along an actor who a lot of you would have seen on your television screens or on demand or online over the last few years in something you might have heard of called Downton Abbey. And of course, that is the great Michael Fox. And let's take a moment to introduce Michael and his work. Michael trained at Central, and he has made appearances such as in the theatre in things like The Enemy of the People at the National Theatre in Chichester, Leaves of Greens, As You Like It in Luxembourg and a UK tour, Othello for Riverside Studios, produced by the great Trish Wadley, who's also been on here, Fear of 13 at the Donmar Warehouse, directed by Justin Martin, who's also been on here, and Farewell, Mr. Haffmann, which you can currently catch him at the Park Theatre up until the 12th of April, so go get your tickets now. For television, he has appeared in Endeavour, Midsomer Murders, The Ark, and Downton Abbey, Series 5 and 6 as Andy. In film, he has appeared in Good People, Dunkirk by Chris Nolan, The World Will Tremble, and of course Downton Abbey, the movie, and Downton, A New Era. And check out for the next Downton Abbey film coming soon, very, very shortly. And also check out his music on Spotify as well. You can find him under the title of Michael and Michelle, and of course that's Michelle Dockery, which also is Lady Mary Crawley. Check out their songs, it's absolutely lovely, some lovely material there. But in the meantime, Michael, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very nice intro. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, it's all you, mate. It's all you. It's all your work, man. It's crazy, but yeah, it's just God, Downton Abbey stuff coming your way now. But before we get into all that, Michael, we start at the beginning with every guest. So in your case, where did the love of acting, performing, and of course music as well? Where did it all come from?
Well, acting was very, very early on for me. My mum took me to, like, I've got two brothers, and we went, play football every week and stuff. And one of my first matches, my mum says that I spent the whole game waving at the audience and sort of playing the cat, saying, "Oh, look, here I am, look, I'm playing a bit of football." So my mum was like, "Oh, maybe we should take him down to Jackie Palmer's, which is like a theatre workshop place that people like James Corden and Aaron Taylor Johnson. He was there when I was there, actually. So I went there from like 5, I think even younger, maybe 4, yeah. And then Marilyn, who was the agent there, just came up to my mum and dad and went, "Do you want your son to work?" And they were a bit unsure. But then I was like, "Yeah, I really want to try," I went out auditioning. So I did like The Bill and like this like BBC film, and then I did like West End things when I was young. And so it's really been a long time for me. It's been like 30 years of doing
Wow.
it, which is kind of mad, with a bit of a gap in between.
Yeah.
And I tried to get a more secure job. So it's like a compulsion. It's like I try not to make it like fully as much of me as, it's probably healthy to separate a bit, but it is a massive part of who I am. That's the same with music. Like I've always been, grew up listening to a lot of music, and then playing. It's just kind of my day to day. I just feel like it's a compulsion to do it. And for better or worse, it's just like my absolute source of joy.
Yeah, I suppose music's a good thing because like in those quiet periods, it fills the time, doesn't it? You could sit down and write a song or just mess about on the piano for a bit or play the guitar. I mean, it's quite a good thing to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I picked up the guitar for in the same way that people like journal or it was really just for me to just like sit and have a bit of downtime, I guess. I don't know, or to like unwind, and then it just became the thing I was kind of doing every day. And then I mean, it's similar to acting, but it's also like it's quite empowering in a sense because you have complete control over it. And so much of acting is in someone else's hands, which is really, it's a big frustrating part of the job, is that you can wake up with all of the enthusiasm and the want to do something with your day, but it's like actually, you need someone else to decide where to channel that. So with music, I feel like no one else can sort of decide how productive I'm going to be with that day. I'll just get on and come up here and, get lost in like doing some writing. It might come to nothing, or it might, it might lead to something really interesting. So
Yeah, it's like it's funny. I've got a few friends who are musicians like yourself, and I remember talking to one of them who I think they said, "Look, we finally got a song. We finally got the song we've been doing." I
yeah,
said, "Cool. How long have you been working on it?" It's about 3 months,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and you're literally like 3 months of just trying to get it. And
yeah,
unfortunately, you hear these stories in the industry. Someone like Barry Gibb or something from the Bee Gees, who
yeah,
apparently wrote Tragedy, Too Much Heaven, and Shadow Dancing in one afternoon.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you're just like, and you're like, you bastard.
I know, it's like that's the thing. Like, and some of the great songs, people say they write them in, like an hour or so, or they just
Yeah,
fall out of the sky.
yeah.
And Noel Gallagher says that, doesn't he? But it's just like he doesn't know where they come from.
Mm,
But it's more like, for me, it's more like it's kind of the process of doing it as well that
mm.
I like. And I'm obviously not writing it to like in the same way that Barry Gibb would be, because there's slightly bigger audience there.
Yeah, well,
But
you never
but
know, man. You never know.
yeah, but the stuff that we've done with Michelle, and that's been amazing. And
Yeah.
she's brilliant. So it's just kind of, and actually that felt like me writing for stuff, just for her and I. It was actually it was much more free flowing. It was easier to write,
Mm.
I guess, because it was less about me singing it and more about us kind of doing it together. So
Yeah, nice one, man. So yeah, well, more on music to follow. So I mentioned in the intro that you trained at Central, but of course, Central School of Music and Drama. Yeah, how was it? How was your training?
yeah, it was good. I tried out 3 times to get to Central,
Mm.
and I went straight out of school, so I was like 17, 18,
Mm.
and but I just knew, like, I tried out, I did the whole circuit, I went to RADA and Bristol Vic and did the whole thing, but like
Yeah, yeah.
Central, there was just something about Central that and particularly the CDT course, it's called Collaborative and Devised Theatre, and there's Catherine Alexander, who's an amazing director. She kind of made this course, and Sinead Rush and all of these really interesting directors are coming to build this course, which was around like Michael Chekhov and Lecoq and like
Mm.
complicity
Yeah, yeah.
kind of way of working. And more like kind of physical. People kind of say, "Oh, it's physical theatre," but it's not really. It was just like, it was kind of like just a physical way of getting into a character. And yeah, I just absolutely, I loved it. And Fazayo Akiade and Martin Zinghambe and Dino Fetcher and lots of, and Naomi Aki was on it. And so we've had really like, it's done really well. I don't know. I think I love my time at Central. I thought it was, apart from being drama school and being like, oh my God, absolute stress all the time, and being
Yeah,
like
yeah.
exposed, and it's pressure and things like that. But like everything matters way more than it should and things like that.
Mm.
But I loved it. We had a great class, really good environment, and actually Othello with Trish
Mm.
Wadley came from wanting to reconnect to that sort of work, to feel like I was engaged in that way of working again, because I felt quite sort of distant from that. And so that's why Sinead, we went back to Sinead Martins and I to go, should we try and rekindle a bit of that drama school feeling?
Mm.
And Trish, the force that Trish is, the amazing producer that she is, made
Yeah.
that happen, made that kind of want to reconnect to that kind of work. She made that all happen, which was really awesome. Yeah, so I look back really fondly, which was it was quite a while ago that I was at Central, so like it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah, right, it's all good. Now, a big shout out to Trish as well, just an
Yeah,
amazing producer as well as person. So a big shout out
yeah,
to
yeah.
her. So this is sort of a newish sort of question I've asked on some episodes about training and stuff. So what would you say was like the biggest difference between Michael on day one of Central to Michael on graduation day?
That's a good question, man. I don't know. Like, I think I had a few. I don't know. That's really. I mean, experience. I mean, loads. Obviously, experience, like exposure to plays, to ways of thinking about stuff.
Mm.
I don't think I took it. I don't think I knew what really worked for me. So I think I had a little box of tricks that, I mean, I just have a slightly bigger box of tricks really now. But I think I just like, I did, it kind of allowed me to like to trust, like just going deeper, not showing as much, not just trusting a bit more, like just allowing things to come, listening really, quality of like the importance of that being the whole thing really is just listening. I don't know, and then just like getting excited by being exposed to playwrights and being exposed to different ways of working, and just kind of it just opened my eyes a bit and solidified a feeling of me thinking, oh yeah, these are my kind of people, and it's my kind of environment. And I tell you, actually, the main thing was like feeling. So at school, like I went to quite an academic, I'd say like quite an academic focused school, and
Yeah.
I didn't really, that didn't really suit me,
No,
I
me neither.
think.
Me neither.
And so I felt stupid, really. I felt stupid for most of school, and then and that still kind of lingers. But when I went to drama school, I sort of felt, oh, I could speak quite intelligently about plays because I think I had sort of like an emotional intuition with stuff like that. So I just sort of found that I was able to talk about these things, and I don't know, I felt more supported in that, or more accepted in that. I don't know. I think basically I would say that's the biggest shift for me, was not feeling so stupid, like because you kind of feel like, oh well, this is the thing that I feel, this is where my intelligence lies, in this kind of work, as opposed to exams and
Yeah.
remembering endless facts, which is just not how my brain works. So I
No.
think actually, as I'm saying the answer out loud, that really probably was the biggest shift for me, was feeling like yeah, a bit
Yeah.
more belonging in that environment.
Yeah. Is you found your belonging in a way.
Yeah, really, like really did. And then that was basically the fuel to kind of go out and find that. Even in Farewell, Mr. Haffman, it's happening now, where I feel like, within that environment, within the rehearsal room, and with you meet the like-minded people, and you feel kind of raised up by that and galvanized by it, and secure in it. And I mean, I'm sure that every actor that's listening to this will feel that feeling, where you can feel really adrift.
Yeah.
And then it's that amazing thing of coming back into a room and going, oh no, okay, yeah, I'm not completely you know just off in my own world, I guess. There's people that really care about this in the same way, and it matters, and it's important, and expressing and being emotionally intuitive and trying to understand something is like, that's, yeah, it's nice. It's reassuring to
Yeah.
have other people feel like that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
you
I
know?
mean, yeah, we mentioned the intro actually. I think I said it wrong. Is it Farewell, Mr. Haffman? Is it that you're currently doing? Yeah, I said
Yeah,
it.
Farewell, Mr. Haffman. Yeah,
The Haffman. God, I said
yeah,
Hoffman. Yeah, never mind.
that's all right.
But yeah, so like I said, you're on at the Park Theatre currently until the 12th of
Yeah,
April. Yeah, how's it? How's the play going so far?
it's been amazing. Like it's like it's it's the second time I've been at the park, and the park's a brilliant theatre. The
It's
audiences are amazing. The the actual space is like really intimate, and it's like 200 people, but they're right on stage with you.
yeah,
We've sold like unbelievably well, like straight from the beginning. We've had like sellout shows, which makes this unbelievable, like amazing atmosphere, and the play is really interesting. The cast are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and Oscar Toman, who directs it, he's fantastic. So we've had, yeah, a really good time. Like it's only like a week and a half left, and I think for me, it's like with that the part of Pierre, it feels like a bit of a gift really to be able to do it. And it's the first time I've really like been kind of driving the show in terms of the responsibility of that character and stuff. I feel like it's been a really good step forward in that sense, but also just the cast are brilliant, and it's funny, and it's beautiful, and it's like heartbreaking, and it's farcical. It's kind of this mad French translation that some nights you feel like, oh, okay, it's a bit of a leap. The sensibility's kind of different, I think, the French audience and the British audience, but yeah, it's good, man. It's going really well.
Yeah, I'll try and catch you, man. Yeah, I'd love to
Yeah,
see
come
it.
check it out. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to, man. I think I said to Trish actually in our episode, it's a big shout out to the Park Theatre as well because there's very few theatres like that at the
yeah,
moment. Because they are, I think, yeah, I think I'm right in saying this is that they are sort of self-financed in a way, and ticket sales are the reason why they're able to stay standing as such. So,
yeah. And they get really interesting work in there. They get,
mm,
and they have for a theatre outside of kind of the big kind of hitters in the middle of town. It's like they get really good people up there making great work, and the audience. I think it's because the audience is so engaged
mm,
that you feel like it has some significance. Like we're doing this a play set in World War II. I'm hiding a Jewish man in the cellar, and it's a play that feels like we're sleepwalking towards this kind of way of speaking about people and othering people, and so it feels like it completely does speak to now. I know people say that a lot about plays, but people come out and they're like, this is just extraordinary with
mm,
everything that's going on in the world at the moment. And I think that there's a really engaged Jewish audience
mm.
around that area in North London, so it just feels like we're yeah, it's really exciting. Each night is really different, and the response is really different, and yeah, and the cast have been amazing. Like, so I'm sort of, it's a funny thing when you get to the end of the show and you're like, you're seeing the end come and you go, well, it's quite nice to have your evenings back, but I am really going to miss it because it just feels, it's a really beautiful show. And, touch wood, maybe won't be the end of the journey for it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, so we'll see. But yeah, Trish came on press night. So it was nice to see her, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
she liked it. So it was good.
Great, yeah. And no, it's good because we need these theatres to sort of stay afloat, really, because
Yeah,
these big, as you said, these big theatres in town, and it's there's a lot of regular shows there at the moment which are not going anywhere. Like for example, Les Mis, Phantom, Book of Mormon, Lion King, all these things, and thankfully places like the Wyndhams and the Noel Coward, they all chop and change with these big plays and stuff like that. So it's not one thing all the time, which is good.
yeah,
But the parks, like it champions like new writing and stuff,
yeah,
which just we need more theatres like that. I'm sure. I know it's not the only one, but I
yeah,
think thankfully it's one that is relatively well known that does champion brand new material, which is exactly
yeah.
what we need, really, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure this would have been a conversation you had with Trish, but like
Yeah, yeah,
the where the kind of needle is for theatre at the moment is like it's so much about it kind of being a huge success from a producer's point of view, making sure you get the big name in to do the thing, and you can draw the audiences, of course. And it's so much like it's a tour. There's a kind of tourist element to it that you can't take as many chances with a play, with a new piece of writing, which is something that might speak to us as an audience, might challenge us, or if you go back to kind of 20, 30 years ago, what theatre's role was,
mm,
kind of a lifeblood of like, yeah, putting a mirror up to the audience saying like, what do we think? But I think that's what this play does. It challenges. It says, well, so for example, without ruining it,
mm,
Nigel Harman and Jemima Rooper play Nazis that come to dinner, and the writer has made them the most charming, the most comical, the
mhm.
most instantly alluring, and naturally because Nigel and Jemima are just kind of just so just so brilliant that you you're drawn in by them, and so it's kind of questioning, well, why did what was I, how was I influenced um, by this person that feels like they're quite kind of enigmatic and and interesting, and with all the incel stuff with adolescence and things like that. I feel like this is all what this play is about.
Mm.
That's kind of come back around for our society now. But going back to your point about theatre is like, what is the main role of theatre? And unfortunately, I feel like it feels like it's just slightly shifted more into the commercial eye, which has always got to be there. But it's like, well, what is the kind of the long-term lifeblood of the role of theatre? It's to challenge us, to teach us, to to move us and to help better understand stories that we wouldn't come across normally, like so that we can be more connected, to be more collective, and to not polarize, and to come together collectively and say, okay, well, we've all shared this experience around this story that we didn't know was as close to us as we thought, when we came in. So yeah, but also you do need those big hitters. You do need those big shows to keep the train moving along. So it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Like Trish is really good at doing both, I think. I think she knows when there's the kind of the big ones and there's the ones that she can support. Othello was that, I think. She was supporting like artists. But yeah, it's a balance of both, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny you describe in there, it's, the image that came into my head was you've seen Inglourious Bastards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds very similar because Christoph Waltz's character, for anyone who hasn't seen it, there's a brilliant scene in the beginning. The writing in that scene is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you see this person who's, as you said there, like enigmatic, sort of nice, and you think oh, you can get along with this person, but however, they're wearing a Gestapo uniform. They're wearing a swastika. There's people are bad, and it's like, and it's an interesting thing about how people who are evil but hide it very well. And yet you sort of fall for that initial pretense of, oh, this person's really lovely. And then next thing you know, and then they get you with just what actually is cooking underneath the surface and everything.
Yeah, and it's not like, it's human nature, isn't it? But it's like, that's why I say about sort of sleepwalking into this kind of situation again, because those people, those pillars on like podcasts, we talk about like male kind of aggression and this kind of underbelly of hatred that is coming up through the kind of likes of Joe Rogan and things like that, and it's the same stuff, because it's coming through a guise of, hey, come on, we got a couple of comedians on here. It's like, we're having a bit of a laugh, and then we might say something that's a little bit like, well, hang on, and it goes under the radar.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are, like, in it's the same space. Like, I just did this World Will Tremble film, and the first Labour, it's about the first two guys to escape a Labour camp. And that first group of Jewish people that went to the Labour camp were allowed to send postcards back to their families.
Wow.
Because the Nazis knew that in order to get the initial people over into the camps, that they'd have to send back reassuring letters to their family to say it's all okay. Like it doesn't. It's just not that easy to spot, and I think that's what's interesting about placing yourself with this play back in 1940. We moved through from 1942 to the end of the war. So, but you're just sort of saying, like, my character says things like, even among the Nazis there are some who are decent, nice, and it feels very colloquial, and then you realise that there's this vicious underbelly.
Yeah,
and I think it's a really interesting play for that, because it does you do leave kind of questioning where you have allowed yourself to be coerced into a certain argument that you didn't want to be involved in.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, God, I feel like we could talk about that for ages, man. But, it's really interesting, all that. But we'll put that on pause for a sec, because I want to get. No, we could talk for ages. It's great. But I want to ask you about, of course, which a lot of people, a big body of your work, which a lot of people know you for, and of course that is Andy in Downton Abbey. For anyone who is unfamiliar with the show, it's just go and watch it on demand right now. It's a beautiful, beautiful show, and we see Michael appear in series 5, and as well as 6, as well as the films, as well as I said in the intro, and just watch it, guys. It's just a beautiful, beautiful show. We might touch on some spoilers today, so just you are warned, but we should be all right. So tell me about, how did you first hear about Downton Abbey? Was it a call from your agent? Did someone suggest it to you? How did it all start?
The first kind of connection to it was I was in third year at drama school, and my agent at the time, Rebecca Blonde, she rang me about a small part, and like I just walk on and say like 2, 3 lines, and do you want to go in for this? And I was like, yeah, I absolutely want to go in for Downton.
Yeah,
Of course I
of
do. I'll
course.
go in and do a day on Downton. That'd be amazing. And then she was just like, well, let me just have a think about it. So she came back. She said, well, I think we should like not go in because there might be another part like coming up that you don't want to just go in and do this like day, because if there's another, long running part, then that'd be better. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. That's never going to happen. So like, let me just go and do this part. It'd be great. But then, like 6 months later, I think I'd gone away. I was doing this thing called the Ark in Morocco, and they had a hiatus, luckily. And as I came back, like all bearded and looking like biblical, I had this audition, and so I went up to. I did all of the things wrong in the audition. That was the thing. It was the like Jill. So I went to Ealing Studios where it filmed, and Jill's house is like the other side of London, and I was supposed to go there. So one of the producers came out and said, "You're not supposed to be here. You're like," I was there like 10 past 11 or whatever, and I was the wrong side of London.
Oh
It was a
no.
really hot day, and I was like, "Oh God." And I even rang, I don't know why, I just rang my agent. I was like, "Oh look, I'm only back for a tiny bit. Like maybe I should just like send a tape, because I think I was going to turn up there like an hour and a half late or whatever." Anyway, she was like, "No, go, it'll be fine." And Jill was like so lovely. So I went and auditioned, and then she said, "Oh, basically, can you come back and shave and
Yeah.
not look
Get rid of all your
not look
hair.
like Shem, like from New York?" So I went back in and met Michael Engler, who was a new director for that episode as well, which I think was really helped. And I got on really well with him. He's a brilliant director, and had done a lot of like American comedy, like Kimmy Schmidt and Sex and the City, and that was kind of his wheelhouse stuff. Really cool. He's a wicked director, and so just really got on well with him. And then I just, I don't know, it just like, it's mad. I think it was like 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
and I think I was really lucky as well, because I hadn't been busy or like doing loads of this, that, and the other, but on that day, I happened to be going up to Stoke in the afternoon to do this one small scene in Marvelous, this amazing Toby Jones thing about the football mascot. It's a really beautiful film. If anyone hasn't seen Marvelous, it's so brilliant. Really beautiful film. And I just happened to be going up there in the afternoon. So I had that kind of energy, like I'm sure any actor will know this thing of like, we're just kind of like, well, yeah, I'm just going to do this audition. And I'm going to go up on the train. I'm going to do some filming later, as if I'm just like busy actor. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah,
happened
my
to come.
time's so limited right now. It's
I'll just
crazy.
squeeze in this audition. But if they'd asked me any other day, I'd been like, yeah, well, I went for a coffee for about 3 hours. but, so that felt like a really lucky timing of just feeling, because I remember Michael Engler in the audition was just like, "Oh, no wonder no wonder you're so busy," and because we had a really nice back and forth thing, and so I was just like, "Yeah, well, I am today. Yeah, I am busy today."
Yeah. Got a
And
latte waiting for me.
yeah, exactly. And then so then but I waited for a long time. I waited for about three weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks. It's quite a long time to wait on a job. You think that's probably gone away,
Yeah,
but
three
every
weeks. Wow.
yeah, because every like you think, okay, I might find out in a couple of days with stuff like that, and then every Friday, Rebecca would ring me and go, "It's down to the last three. It's down to the last two," and I just kind of felt like, okay, it wasn't going to go my way, and I just got very lucky. And then like I think it was only supposed to be an episode or 2 episodes, and then luckily they got me back in and to do the last series, and then. Shelf life of a footman in that show is probably about 2 series, because like they tend to rotate the footman quite a lot, and so I just was lucky that kind of the show had ended and then the films came along, and I managed to kind of stay in the fold, and it's been 10 years of my life, and
Yeah.
I love it, and it's it's just been I've managed to work with some really brilliant people, because that show, even with the last film that we've just done, like Simon Russell Beale's in it and Paul Giamatti's in it, and so all these people, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, Melda Staunton coming into it. you work with these, and let alone the kind of the principal cast, and yes, it's really good, man. I'm just very lucky to have been a part of it.
Yeah. As I want to get on to your character in just a second, but I just want to just ask you this quickly. Unfortunately, in the last year, we've lost an actor who was the main body of that show, the great Maggie Smith, who
Yeah,
sadly is no longer with us here. But her performance in that was just incredible. And I
yeah,
just very quickly, I wanted to ask, like, what did you get the chance to spend any time with her on set, and what was she
yeah,
like?
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's just so sad. I mean, it's a massive loss, and I think that her passing away has made me feel I just feel so privileged that I got to sort of just watch her work, hang out with her. Like, I got to know her. Not as much as there's some folks in that show that had such an amazing relationship with her, but just to be in her kind of like I don't know, she's just an extraordinary person. She's like
Mm,
a pillar of our industry and will be forever kind of like one of the greats of all time.
mm,
And she's just extraordinary, and where she came from, and the kind of think about, like, I mean, Laurence Olivier was a bust in our reception, like a statue of him,
yeah.
and she was the Desdemona, and it's just like she was the contemporary of Noel Coward, and just the extraordinary people that you actually don't think are real. Like, sort of like they're just
Yeah.
kind of historical figures, and she was just like, oh, she's just talk about Noel, like there's letters from them back and forth in the Noel Coward Museum, things like that. But I just like, but as a person, she was just like really funny and down to earth and very didn't suffer fools. There's no question of that. Didn't like her work. She just cared so much about the work being good,
Yeah.
and she made those lines 100% better. You would read them on the page and go, "Oh, that's quite funny," and then she'd do them, and you just like, I would never have
Yeah. Yeah.
anticipated you doing that.
Yeah.
And I was holding, well, lots of those scenes. I'm holding a tray next to her, or like pouring her raspberry coulis. We didn't exactly do like, we didn't get into the mud of a scene together, but like, but I do feel really, really privileged to have said I got to work with her and to have known her, and to, yeah, and that all kind of came into focus this past year, because
Mm.
you suddenly look back and you go, wow, that was really extraordinary.
Yeah. I was like, did
Really
that
extraordinary.
really happen? Did that really happen?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think naturally, although you don't feel like you're taking it for granted, of course you're not like taking it for granted, but naturally
No,
you
no,
kind
no,
of
no,
get
no.
used to those things. Like, just kind of go, oh yeah, okay, we're going in today, our magazine, okay, cool, cool. But then you kind of look back and you go, wow. And seeing the documentary about her actually on the BBC, and I was just watching, I had no idea quite how extraordinary her career was, and
Mm.
how extraordinary her life was, and what she meant to so many people, and what an amazing person.
Yeah.
What an extraordinary person. And
Yeah. Guys, Maggie, wherever you are, just thank you. We love you. We love you so
yeah,
much.
yeah, absolutely. In
Oh,
fact, I think we were doing Fear of 13, and that's right. And I think we made a few kind of dedications to her. I did feel like, and this might sound a bit sort of, I don't know, but well, I don't know what it sounded like, but I
yeah.
really felt like, okay, well, let's just go out and do this, like do this show with her in mind or whatever,
Yeah.
because you're just like, wow, yeah, she's very inspiring as a as a as a person and as an actor. And you just go, wow, okay, just
Yeah. I
try and
think,
get some of that by osmosis just by standing next to her.
yeah. Standing next to her, just absorb everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah. I think
extraordinary.
I'm right in thinking that I think the West End dimmed the lights, I think, for
That's
it.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. I think, did you guys, well, the Donmar must have done the same thing, right?
yeah, yeah. I can't remember actually. I
Yeah.
can't remember if we did. I'm sure. I know they did that. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary, isn't
Oh, yeah, for
it?
sure. I mean, what a
Rises.
tribute. What a tribute, huh?
Because also the timing of, like, for the National Theatre, and like kind of all the birth of these kind of things that still exist as our main kind of strongholds of like British theatre. She was right at the front of that, and
Yeah.
one of the most respected and admired, and just like yeah, and also like she was irreverent towards it, and just like, yeah, really cool. really
Yeah.
amazing barometer of what it is to be an actor. And
Yeah. Again, just Maggie, wherever you are, just thank you. We love you.
yeah,
Yes. Anyway, back
love
to
you.
you, sir. Back to you. Yeah, Andy. How did you find Andy? Who is he?
And he's like working class, like London boy who, like, probably the extent of his dreams and ambitions were to have a life in service, which at that time was like a really good life, and to I think I made an assumption early on that he was like therefore subservient, and but he wasn't, like, within his kind of class bracket at that time was more defined, where to be a servant in the house and to go up within the ranks of the house was a really good career,
Yeah.
and they were the peacocks of the house, and they looked amazing, and they felt like they were, they kind of arrived, and he, yeah, he's a great character. He's like, he's slightly behind the plot, I would say, all the time. Like, he's always going, wait, what's going on? Like, he's catching up with it. But there was like really beautiful stuff around him being illiterate, and I think that yeah, I really. It's funny because he's not like me. I don't. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. But I always feel like it's you love these characters, but you also want to like try and like separate yourself from the character as much as possible, I guess. But
Yeah.
I think Julian writes when what he kind of sees on screen as well. So um, yeah, but I loved it, man. It was great, and I've been lucky with it, to have had a few moments of kind of, Julian's given him some great stories, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, one thing I love is that, like when we spoke off camera actually just now, is like there are no small parts, only small actors, is that
yeah,
famous saying. But one thing I love about Downton is a couple of things. Is that it feels like, even though it's a story, class is a huge, huge part of this story.
yeah,
You've got, the Hugh Bonnevilles, the Maggie Smiths, their characters all about top of the mountain. And
yeah,
then, and I say this without any disrespect whatsoever, but you've got people who are lower than that in their classes, like Andy's character, or Mr. Carson, or the other butlers or something like
yeah,
that. It's a story very much about class and where Britain
yeah,
was in that time. I think it starts just before the First World War, and then it's that famous episode where they're having a sort of thing outside or something, sort of like, oh, hello, nice to see you, what a lovely day it is today. Or sort of like
yeah,
someone comes in and shouts, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to announce this, but this country is at war.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then and then that's when all the drama starts, then Matthew
yeah,
Crawley goes off to war and all that kind of thing, and Barrow goes off.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's a brilliant, it's just a beautiful story all the way through. And I think, and with your characters especially, like you're not left out either. You have an arc, you have a story, you have
yeah,
something that's happening in your life as well. And I think with Andy is that you mentioned it there, that unfortunately he is illiterate. And then
yeah,
there's a episode where I think Barrow finds him in the sort of servants area, and he's
yeah,
trying to read a book about rearing pigs and stuff and looking after them and stuff.
yeah,
And because I think you guys are going to go off and look after a farm or something, or take over a farm, and
yeah,
you're sitting there trying to read this thing, and then later on, you hear this massive clang, and then Barrow comes in and goes, "What's going on?" So
yeah,
I threw the book, and it hit that, and it fell, and and
yeah.
it's yeah. How did you sort of make the most of your character arc and your story that Andy's illiterate and he's trying to build the farm with Daisy? How do you make the most of that?
Well, it's well, firstly, you feel like you read the scripts, come through, and you're just like, oh my God, okay, okay, this is you don't know what's coming, you have no idea. I mean, I had done a couple of episodes before I was then told that he was illiterate, and this came from completely left field. I was like, okay, oh right, okay, and then you just go, we get this like, okay, this is amazing. Like, Julian's written this really meaty stuff, because it can be kind of all or nothing as a servant. You're kind of like you're there all the time, but you're not necessarily getting the kind of the chance to get your teeth stuck into stuff. So actually, the first feeling you go is, oh my God, okay, great, okay, let's get, and also because it was with Rob, and it's just really lovely. It feels like a real gift of a thing, and 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 I guess also because of the nature of the way that Brian Percival had kind of set up the styles, where upstairs was very still and a lot of calm kind of there's time, and downstairs was like steady cam and fast and caught moments that mostly all the scenes feel like is you're just slightly catching a half beat downstairs and then they have to go up and do stuff, so which can mean that they feel really exciting and much more human and yeah, like voyeuristic for an audience, I guess. So you're just kind of, oh, did we see that? You know, so there's all of that stuff going on. But I guess like in terms of the illiterate stuff and that, I don't know. I just think I just really just felt like it was a real gift and a real like, oh, okay, that's yeah. I can't wait to kind of yeah stick my elbows out a bit and feel like Andy gets a little bit of a moment in the sun to yeah. I don't know really. I don't really know how to explain it because it's a really fascinating show for that because there's 25 actors balancing these characters is a real art. And so everyone feels like they're a cog in the machine. Everyone feels like they're clasping moments and then the greater picture kind of adds is the whole thing like it's you know, but yeah and then there was some really beautiful stuff. I really love the stuff around Thomas with the bath where he tries to take his own life and there's all these like this amazing thing, but this is the thing, this is an extraordinary thing where you just kind of, you know, in that series you'd before each block, which would be like 2 episodes filming alongside each other, you get 2 scripts come through your door and you'd just kind of read through okay, wow, that's like okay, I have to kick down a door and Barrow's going to be in the bath and he's going to cut his wrist and you just go, this is like, where's this come from? Because I was just talking about like rearing pigs. And so it's kind of what you're saying about the war, like everyone having these kind of like very kind of like polite conversations and then suddenly something really hits underneath. And so it can really creep up on you. You can be like, oh, we're just kind of having a cup of tea downstairs and then someone, you know, is in the other room taking on their experience of being gay or you know their relationship to their mental health. It's like it's just like it's a really like compassionate, emotional, modern like I don't know, Julian's amazing at writing within this very constrained context. These incredibly universal, human, heartbreaking like truths that never change no matter what the context is. They never change. They're still exactly the same experiences. Yeah, and I think it's really when those things come along as an actor you just go, okay, yeah, great, let's go,
let's do it.
Get stuck into it.
Yeah, so funny. I remember the interview you gave. This is a few years ago now, but do you remember the interview you gave on This Morning with Tuppence Middleton as well? And opposite Holly Willoughby and somebody else, I can't remember his name, but I think you'll know who I'm talking about. But no, I was one thing I liked about that interview was that I think you spoke about how you get the script and it's like you said there, you get to kick down a door or I get to bust a boiler or something. I think you literally did bust a boiler. I think at one point. In
the first film,
and then I remember like so you pick up the script and go, all right, I have to do some of this now. And, you know, I think it's quite exciting as an actor because you get to really, you know, you're not all like suited and booted, like keeping your hands there and being all like, oh, hello, what may I bring you today? Or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more, like I said, like we just talked about, there's an arc to your character. You're not just someone who stands at the back and does their job or someone who just stands there politely the whole time. You are, ultimately, I think Julian really shows that no matter who you are in this house, you are a human being.
Yeah.
You know? And you are, and despite what anyone else thinks about this time, you know, you look at, you know, historians look back on the aristocracy or people look back on specifically this time in British history and people think, you know, stiff upper lip. No one does anything. It's all about business. You know, no one does anything else other than
Yeah.
talk about money and sound like this, you know. Whereas Downton, I think, shows that these people are human. They're human
Yeah.
beings, and they're not emotionless robots with lots of money or with very little money. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, there's a human story in Downton in every class, which you have. Yeah, would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think like I think like it felt like initially there was a sense that so I think the kind of the responsibility of a big stately home like that, the actual reality was its responsibility to the local community, to jobs, to farming, to it would be the kind of source of a whole town's support structure.
Mm,
Now, obviously, it's different. Now they're like the gates are closed. It feels decadent. It feels separate. It feels for the elite. But actually, I think what was interesting in those first few series, especially with someone like Hugh playing the Lord of the
mm,
House, is like the weight on his shoulders of responsibility of what it meant for like the people of that town or that village or whatever. And I think that was interesting. I think also what he did was put scandal into like the first few episodes where people went, "Oh my god, there's sex, there's like, there's scandal, there's death, he just kind of went, he made this kind of feel like this, like kind of in there's kind of not like a thriller, but a kind of like with Gosford Park, the kind of murder mystery kind of element, the kind of the real sharp edged kind of drama. He's just so good at that, and he's so good at combining those two things, and it kind of it creeps up in you, and I just think it's to our British sensibility that I also think is why it's so big in America, is that you know it's very British to sort of say I love you with like a sort of raised eyebrow rather than really
yeah,
properly saying it and really
yeah. I
properly
love
sharing.
you.
Yeah, not sort of like there's no like there's always an emotional constraint like that lives so much in our
Yeah.
like in our sensibility. So I think there's that, and I don't know. It's really we get asked all the time about what it is that makes it good, and I don't. It's really hard to know. I don't know. It's a show that people can sit down and watch with their nan as well,
Yeah.
like on a Sunday night. It's like cross generational, and like there's not many shows or films that would you can do that so
Mm.
much, I guess, anymore. And I don't know. It feels like a really collective, communal. Yeah, there's that element to it. There's so many different elements, and
Yeah, yeah. I suppose like everyone sort of sees something different in it,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, I think it's all about. I think it's just the nice nature of it, really, and how and the the twists or the crisis points in the script and everything. As Julian writes, or any writer will know that there has to be like a moment which keeps the audience's attention fixed, and so you're
yeah,
literally asking yourself, what's happening next? What's going to happen? And then
yeah,
it keeps you sort of suspended really effectively in this world of like
yeah,
nothing looks like it's happening unless the house is on fire or something,
yeah,
but nothing looks like it's happening, and it can literally just be a look between two characters, and then
yeah,
suddenly you go,
yeah,
what's going to happen? And then say the
yeah,
credits roll, and you're like,
yeah, yeah.
what? And then you want to get the next one on it immediately.
Binge
But
worthy. Yeah,
yeah, but the way Julian's done that, and the way that you did Andy in it as well, it's brilliant. It's brilliant
yeah.
what you guys have done, and it's you've done a fantastic job on that. So
Oh,
congratulations. So,
thank you. Well, I feel really lucky to be a part of it. Definitely.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
still feel lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah. Now, I do have a very, very cheeky question now. And now don't answer it if you can't, because I know producers have eyes and ears everywhere in these things.
Yeah,
There is another film coming out, which I believe
yeah,
is the final curtain, the final bow for
yeah, yeah,
Downton Abbey, as things stand. But you never know.
yeah.
Are you in it? Or what much of it can
I
you
am in
say?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in it. Yeah. It comes out in September,
Yeah.
and I think all I can really say about it is that
Yeah.
it's well, Simon Curtis coming back, so he did the second film, and he's fantastic. And it stays where the other two films have been. That people have come in, we've had these big events with the film happening or the king arriving. This film is much more about the family,
Mm.
And obviously it's a different sort of film with Maggie not being there,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so I feel like it's a much more intimate film. It's much more about like saying goodbye to this group of people that you've lived with for what, 15 years, is it? I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
2010 was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So it's much closer to home, I'd say, and that's probably all I can say about it. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
like the other thing I can say is that actually the feeling around this one is like people are super excited about about audiences seeing it, and
Mm.
anyone who has seen it, they do all these test screenings and stuff. Anyone who's seen it, it's going down really really well, and it's very beautiful, and it's really, yeah, I think it's going to be a really an amazing tribute. But more than that, I think it's like it's going to be a really beautiful, like interesting film in its own right. I think it's
Mm.
hard with this sort of thing because you can go on a sort of farewell tour of this thing, but actually, in its own right, as a film, it is. People are very excited about it,
Good.
and yeah, I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it. We're starting press stuff on it the next few months, and
Ah,
get to see it all together.
brilliant. Well, I look forward to the release. Look forward
Yeah,
to the release.
yeah.
No, thank you for that. No, I don't want to push you too much because I know, like I say,
No,
producers have eyes and ears everywhere. We're not giving
yeah.
anything away. So if anyone is listening, it's all good. It's all good. I respect the
Cool.
boundaries. So yeah, I just want to ask you quickly about because I remember reading somewhere about the busy because like anything that you do like film, TV, when you're on a set, those shooting days they're quite long and there's a lot of waiting around and stuff. I remember reading one scene where like you'd be shooting at the dinner table and that could take about 12 hours and
Yeah,
the scene is literally 3 minutes long, but it's
yeah,
taken you 12 hours to get all the different shots and everything. And specifically, I want to ask about downstairs because like we said earlier, it's the hustle and bustle of downstairs. You've got bells ringing on the back for people's different rooms. You've got Mr. Carson stands, and then the whole table has to stand. You have to get that shot of people standing up, the shot of Carson and everything. And it feels like, yeah, how do you sort of get through like those busy days on set
yeah,
where it's just like, okay, and we go again, and we go again, and we go again, and we go
yeah,
again. And so you're literally standing up from a chair for like the 100th time that day or something.
yeah.
So yeah, how do you sort of get through
Well,
those busy days?
the downstairs days are a lot easier for that.
Ah,
Like, because they're normally shorter scenes. They're normally like much more collective, like fast, like people are just chucking in a thought and then they leave, and then they can feel like the day is a long day, but actually they're, from my personal point of view, they're more like they're more dynamic
yeah,
because the harder ones are if you've got 10 people round the table upstairs in well, a few different reasons. In high clear, which never felt like it was really our, you have to be so protective over
yeah,
the place because it's a real house that everything feels a lot more held, and you could have, yeah, 10, 12 people around the table with a line, da, da, da. But my role in that would be standing by the fireplace, picking up a bottle of red wine and making sure I pour it in between Maggie's line, and then Penelope's got to say something over there, so I'm doing the chair for that bit. Like it would all be really small detail stuff, but actually they'd be more exhausting because by the end of the day, you'd just be like, what have I actually done today? What have I really like done?
I've
And
poured wine for 3 hours.
yeah, I poured wine for 3 hours, and probably, it was just like they felt more tiring. Like, Jim and Kevin Doyle plays Molesley and Jim plays Carson, and we just kind of be looking at each other like sort of end of the day, just like zombies. You're like, oh God, we just, got to keep going. It's just this really, and I think it's got something to do with just if you feel like engaged with the scene, like the day goes quicker and da, da.
Mm.
But they were definitely the days were like, oh my God, this is so full on. If I have to pour Cooley for one more person, I'm going to scream. And because it gets really, because it's very heavy and like it gets very hot, and
Yeah,
whereas in a studio it's a bit different because you can it's just a bit more kind of our house a bit, and yeah, and people everyone's just generally a bit more relaxed, I think, and but yeah, so they do take a long time, and then on screen you go, wow, you really just you got. I did that whole like 14-hour day, and I think maybe it
Oof.
could have just been like a broom with a stiff shirt on would have been the equivalent of what I maybe added to the day, because you don't, you're not like picked up or whatever, but well, some days you're not. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think Jim or Kev or I shed a tear when we said goodbye to the dining room in Highclere.
Yeah. You're
I
like,
don't think we're sentimental about that. But I think when we were downstairs and we said goodbye to the kitchen and to the servants' hall and stuff, that felt like a place where we, yeah, we'll reminisce about,
yeah.
but we won't reminisce about long days in the dining room.
You say goodbye to the dining room. You're like, bye.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just
Goodbye.
get
See you
me.
later.
Don't ever, ever come into my life again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Never.
But the funny thing is, we'd have these breakfast scenes, and I'd always feel jealous because everyone's sitting at the table. And Alan Leach was very kind because he'd always, if they had the breakfast scene, he'd always like, give me a couple of sausages off his plate or something. And
It's the little things.
yeah, and it really made me feel seen. And I just felt no, it just like, but people be like, oh yeah, in the morning, have a full English and stuff. But by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they're on to their like 40th sausage that they've eaten,
Oh.
and they're just like regretting their decisions. But yeah, it was They're good. Actually, the time at Highclere filming was amazing. Like we'd have a great time as a cast, but the actual dining room scenes
Yeah.
were a long and drawn out affair.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. It's like if I see red wine, raspberry coulis, or anything like that when I get home,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be furious. I'm gonna
yeah, yeah,
scream.
yeah. And you have those days where you're just like 1,000 yard stare. You don't
Yeah.
know why you're tired, but
Yeah.
you've had sort of a level of concentration all day, but you don't know why. They would be like that. Your brain would feel like it was like just fried because you've been sort of, you know. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like crazy hard work because it's not. It's still just like pouring coolie, but there's just something about it that very heightened concentration, very stuffy room, lots going on, pressure in there somewhere, but not actually having the relief of like having done a good performance or have gone home and go, yeah, I really felt like I gave something today. So it's just sort of this weird balance of
Yeah.
those things.
I would imagine like you sort of because one thing I've noticed is that there's only so much coffee you can drink throughout the day
Yeah,
without just going into caffeine overload, and then
well, that's the thing. Yeah,
and like you think, oh, okay, I'll have another. You have a coffee when you come in, you're like, okay, fine, and you have another one, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, then we do the scene a few times, and then you have another one, and then you
yeah,
drink that quickly because you're thirsty, then you have another one, then you have another one. Next to
yeah.
know, you're like 7 or 8 coffees deep, and you're literally going. Okay, we're going to shoot again now. And then imagine if you're in your scenes, we've got to be really calm. I can see you just like pouring wine, just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
crap.
yeah, yeah,
That's,
yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm sure you
yeah.
didn't by making that up, but
No, no, it's true because that's what you do on set. It's like, what can you do? You just sort of wander around and eat snacks and have coffees.
yeah,
So you start to get mad, but yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, to bring your iPad, that does help. That
yeah,
does help.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it. If you've got your headphones on, you'll be like, "Am I filming now?" Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Get your ass back in here now. But yeah, no, it's crazy because like I would imagine like you get to the end of those 12-hour days and then you see the cut and then well, you know which episode is yours and you think okay, it must be my bit next, the bit where he shot 12 hours just to get this
yeah,
one scene, and then I don't know if this has happened to you, but and then you get to that point and then you see the scene and then within 2 minutes or like 30 seconds it's gone and
yeah,
you're like, wait.
yeah. That's the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
that is just that's part and parcel of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
acting, but also you, yeah, I guess that's the unique position of like being a servant in the show. That it's like you have both. You have the scenes downstairs, and then you just have to kind of just go into kind of yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain because my expectation of those scenes isn't that I'm going to be in amongst it. Really, what's kind of interesting, and what I do like about it is the kind of the dance of the thing. If we do our job, you don't see us, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about those upstairs scenes. It's just kind of
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just sometimes you just go home and you go, oh, blimey, that was I would have what I wouldn't have given for a very good my lady, just to say that you did something with your day, you know. But the other things that I do really like when I'm upstairs, just serving, are those long driveway scenes where they zoom in and you're supposed to, as the car stops, you sort of land and like open the door. I really like those sort of bits because they feel really like, yeah, it feels really cool. I know that they'll look amazing and like, yeah. But there's strange satisfaction in that, more so than the food serving. But
yeah. No more raspberry coulis.
no, never again. Although in the
Never
play,
again.
I'm in this play every night. I'm doing pouring wine as well, so I just
Oh God.
that never leaves me.
Yeah, it follows you everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, no, but that's well, like I said before, like your work on Downton is just fantastic, man. And
Thank you.
congratulations on landing that gig and just I think being a part of like a really significant moment in British TV. Because
Yeah,
it's very rare something like this comes along, and it's timeless. I mean, there are people discovering it now, who will go on then next 15-year journey, not only
yeah,
with the
yeah,
films, but also with the series going all the way back. It's
yeah,
2010. I mean, Jesus, I don't
yeah,
remember 2010 at all. Jesus,
yeah, yeah. I
15
know.
years. Where's the time gone, man?
I know.
Crazy. Cool. Just got a few more things there for you, Michael.
Yeah,
But I want to touch on your stage work, actually. And this is something, again, we spoke about with Trish. You were part of something, a production of Othello at the Riverside Studios. And
yeah,
you and two other actors played Iago. And these two weren't understudies or anything. All three
no,
of you were in the same
yeah,
performance. So Iago shifted, sort of shape shifted
yeah.
into three different characters throughout the play. Yeah, tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so that was basically, we wanted to look at the play slightly differently. So we wanted to take Iago away from the audience and to take his complicity with the audience away, and put Othello much more at the center of that play, which the way that it's written, the nature of like Iago's relationship with the audience always puts Othello into the background, and that didn't feel like that felt problematic, and I think we were interested in exploring this man's kind of like psychosis and like a sort of schism, like he'd separated himself when he's delivered the news of not becoming Othello's right hand man. So it became really interesting. So the monologue, the soliloquies that he has to the audience became a kind of inward facing debate about what the next course of action was. It meant that we could hopefully lift more of the relationship they had, like the love that Othello and Iago had before this news, before he feels like he's been discarded. Felt we had room to do that because one of the Iagos would still be holding that while the others wanted to, you know, create his downfall, basically. So there was that element, and I think that, yeah, I think it was interesting for that. I think you sort of hear the play anew. We wanted to take. There's obviously when everyone thinks about Othello, they think about race, and obviously race is a huge part of the play.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think that we wanted to show that before this moment, just as the play begins, before that,
yeah.
they'd served together. They had one of the, they had a deep bond that only comes from saving each other's life, on the in war. And I think, I think it was a unusual take, but actually it meant that people could hear the play anew. And yeah, I loved it. I loved it. And Sinead Rush is an absolutely amazing
Yeah, yeah,
director.
yeah.
And so yeah, we were super proud of that play.
Yeah,
And
it should be. Yeah.
yeah, it was great. And Rose Riley was Desdemona in it, and Rachel Lee Hosker, and really brilliant company. Ryan Doherty, and yeah, it was really good group of people, and it came from wanting to get back in the room with Martins and Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Orlando James and Jeremy Newmark Jones were the other Iagos. And it was just real joy. We just really grappled with this kind of mad thing of trying, because I bet, people hearing what three Iagos might sound like doing it. There's kind of a cod version of it initially where it feels like, what is this? This is just three actors just wandering around on stage. But we really felt like he was kind of debating with himself actively what to do. And that meant that he was less kind of Machiavellian, like mustache twisting evil man. He had more to him than that. And I think that makes the play more interesting, more active.
Yeah, it's almost like you have like the main body, and there's that typical thing of like having two voices on your shoulder. So you've got the actual body, you've got the person who's like your sort of like soul saying this, and then you've got your ego saying that, or it's like an angel or a devil, on your either shoulder in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, and also it's like because the play escalates at such a speed that it's very hard to justify Othello's descent, and it's a problem with the play. It's a problem with the play. It happens you kind of go, why does he do that? Why doesn't he just go to Desdemona and say, it's a problematic play. It's why it's very hard to get away from that. And so how do you make Iago much more of a swarm of like an all-encompassing infection, a kind of like a kind of infiltrating every part of Othello's psychology, and also whilst doing that to make sure that he always remained as an actual friend. Like what does a person look like that you can be, a bit like going back to what we were saying earlier about where these arguments come from people that are enigmatic and easily you can be influenced by these people because they come from a friend point of view. You feel like they're unthreatening, and often with that play, in holding on to the threatening and to the evil, you lose the sense that Othello would ever be won over by this guy. Why would I listen to this guy? He sounds mental. He's
a prick.
Prick. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And it always does. I always think it does Othello a disservice. And it feels like to an audience, like, what are we doing? Apart from judging Othello, which I think, unfortunately, is in the writing, in the sense that Shakespeare has written a very, that is a part of it that doesn't hold up. It doesn't age well, his view. And so you have to work against this assumption that Shakespeare has made about the Moor or whatever. It's kind of like he's just kind of passion. He doesn't have intellect. He's just a kind of warrior.
Yeah.
And that can't be the reality, because for someone to be that successful and that admired, he's incredibly intelligent. He's just under this extraordinary influence. And also they're in a war zone, so all bets are off. So it just feels like they've come with this kind of PTSD. There's so much going on. So I think we just wanted to bring to the fore the quality of their relationship before, so that you could better understand the influence he has on him, and not dismiss Othello as some led by the nose.
As tenderly led by the nose as asses are.
Exactly.
It's now you think about it, it's like, you're right, like Othello's sudden dive or descent into madness, it's actually, it's fast.
It's kind of ridiculous, really. It's like over a handkerchief. It's like,
you
just kind of go, all right, give me a sec, mate. I'll go and speak to Desdemona.
Like this is a serious accusation here now.
It's a big leap, I think, for an audience now. And I think it always, what that leap ends up doing is it actually frustrates and ostracizes quite a big chunk of the audience, because I think they go, well, hang on a minute. What are we saying about this man then? That if he can just be so easily, like, what are we saying apart from judging this and kind of discarding and kind of, it's kind of, it feels like it's prejudice. It feels a kind of hateful look at a person and their inability to control their actions. That's what for me, that is the problem of the play.
Yeah.
So, and I think Martin's was amazing at articulating that for us as well. His experience of doing the play as a black actor, taking on this part. These are the things that he's coming in with, the issues of the play, and I think he's extraordinary. Martins, are you going to speak to Martins? Do you think?
I'd love to.
You should definitely.
Yeah, he's the director, right?
No, he played Othello. He's in Bridgerton. He's a brilliant actor.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Definitely speak to Martins about this, because he'll be, he could, obviously. He's like really. He really opened up the door for us with it, because it was like, what is the point in doing this play now? Like, what do we actually want to do with this play?
Yeah.
And what does it say to an audience in this, like, right at this moment? What do we want an audience to take away? Do we want to further compound a kind of damning, dark, horrible history of kind of dismissing a kind of a whole experience, or do we want to say this play speaks to now for this reason? And I think, I think, well, hopefully we did it. I don't know if we did it, but we tried it.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did, man. Sadly, I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I'm sure you did. Yeah, but there's a reason why I think some people can interpret it as being. I'm just going to say it, that they can interpret it as being racist.
Yeah.
And
I think there's that thing about it's like Shylock is a racist play, but Othello is a play about racism or something. I think it's strange about that.
Like
but I think like we took a lot of the language out of it because we thought this play is about more than that. I think Iago uses it as a weapon, but I don't think it's inherently. We didn't think that it was inherently in the relationship before or anything, because we wanted to show them that they were once like brothers in arms, like literally. And if you then explore it as a weapon, that becomes interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess I just felt like I just wanted to push away from this feeling that he knew that Othello's Achilles heel was like using that as a weapon, I think.
Yeah.
And it's the ultimate betrayal, I think, to them to go to something so disgraceful and rudimentary and I don't know, just discarding. So if that's what his friend, his ally, chooses to do, then that's even more of a betrayal and a disgusting weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like Othello can just. I'm sorry, not Othello. Iago. Just hearing you talk about that there, he creates one of the most bizarre scenarios in his head. When he says, "It 'tis thought abroad that twixt my sheets he's done my office," which means that I think he slept with my wife, and he goes, "I know not if it be true, but I, for mere suspicion in that fact, will do as if for surety." So I think he shagged my wife. I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to punish him anyway.
Yeah.
But what?
He does all of these things. That's the thing. He's a really strange character because he has all of these half motives, and he doesn't really have a solid motive.
No.
Apart from being, usurped and going, I'm being overlooked. But it's
or this
fascinating.
might have happened. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think also because I think with the three. So for example, that moment, if I remember rightly, Orlando took that, and then Jeremy and I can be like, that's just the jealous, insecure, fantasist part of him. We can squash that. We can say, well, that still has a voice in his head, but we can get rid of it. So it's like your relationship to that thought. Everyone has those intrusive thoughts based on insecurity, on whatever. We can much more clearly separate ourselves from a kind of thought like that. That might be a motivator, but it also can be undermined with another thought. You know what I mean? It's like those kind of in between thoughts that aren't really that clear that he gives us. We can also provide clarity around them depending on the other two's relationship to that thought. You know, oh great, he's just saying that again because that's the devil on his shoulder that always says the darkest thought. You know, I bet he slept with my wife as well. That's enough to take him down. You know, that's like, where have you got that from, mate? And then you know, you have a relationship to it that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh God, mate, I could talk to you about this for ages. I really
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's I think just one last thing I'll say about it very quickly is I'm going to talk about a quick question about your music, then we can finish up because I know you've got other things to chew on to. Is that he has this? Oh, it's a despite all that. I mean, it's some of the most beautiful language in this play. I mean, this play it is superb, this play, some of the Shakespeare's language and everything, even though despite all the holes that we've talked about now, the language in it is just sublime.
Yeah.
There's one of Iago's lines, which is so evil, but it's so beautiful at the same time, it's just one little phrase, it's 3 words, where he goes, divinity of hell.
Yeah.
And there's such a contrast there. He has divine purpose doing the devil's work, and or trusting, like you said there, just these intrusive thoughts that I'm going to get him because I think it happens. And if I think it happens and it has happened, I have no evidence, but I'm still going to do it anyway. You sit there and think, like, it's almost like laughable in some ways. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're destroying someone's life because you think something happened. And it's,
I think also what I think was amazing about the show is that, about the play, is that it's one of the most accessible in terms of the language because it's all active. It doesn't it's very, you get those moments of great, beautiful writing, but it all feels like front-footed.
Yeah.
You know, there's like Act 3, Scene 3, which is an extraordinary scene, but it feels like it's right on the front foot. It never gets like flowery. It never gets like too, there's some kind of amazing like rhetoric and kind of exploration of ideas in Hamlet, and he can kind of go down a route of ideas that all feel like ruminating on this thing, and that's part of him, and he's inactive, and he's just a long, like, it's theoretical, but I just feel like with everything just feels like it's for some sort of change. So for an audience, it's very easy to get, to stay with, to be engaged with, to be a part of, because it's just so front-footed and efficient. There's not long waves of beautiful for the sake of like beauty. He's just it's very clear. It's very clear cut, and it's really exciting to play.
Oh, for sure. If it ever comes back, I'm sure it will anyway. Trish, if you're listening, bring it back.
Come on, Trish.
No, I'd love to see it, man. If there is a recording of it, then please.
I think there is actually. There is a recording. I think it's on Original Theatre. Is it Original Theatre, the streaming thing?
I will check it out. Trish has probably already sent me the link. If you have, Trish, I'm so sorry. But she'd be like, I sent you the link. Ollie's like, okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, cool. I just got a few more things, 3 more things for you, Michael, and then I know you've got other things to get on to. So just very quickly, I mentioned in the intro as well, your music, you write music with Lady Crawley, Michelle Dockery. And, again, big shout out to her, an amazing actress. So where can people find you? I said people can find you on Spotify, and tell me a little bit about your music and what excites you about writing music.
Yeah, we're called Michael and Michelle. We did mess around with band names, but didn't. Nothing felt really right. So we started writing like probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and just filming while we were filming, and we had gone away to America to do some press stuff. So we were just hanging out and writing some stuff, and just for fun. And we thought, let's make a record of this. Like, let's just go to a studio for a day and just record these 2 songs, and we'll have them then, and we can always look back on like the time we were in LA and we had like these 2 songs that we made together. And then just from the experience of doing that, we did, the Kiln Theatre in Kilburn. And Indu Rubisingham was, when she was there, she did this charity night, and Jim Carter and Imelda Staunton are really big supporters of that theatre. And so they asked Michelle and I to do those songs. And so we did them, and Decca just were in the audience. And so from that, Decca brought us in and like talked to us about releasing music. And for me, I was like, Michelle and I have always been involved in music on very separate kind of tracks of like, I had fledgling bands and stuff, and me and my brother have always played music, and he plays drums, and Michelle was doing kind of jazz singing, and she did like Ronnie Scott's and things like that, and so we kind of came together and like we had these songs and made this first EP, and it went down really well, and played some stuff live, and we just have this really simple, easy connection around music. We love the same music. Our voices go really well together, and I feel really creative around Michelle, and we just have had this wicked experience of like we did a tour this time last year. We went on tour, and we played in Whelan's in Dublin and Lafayette and King's Cross, which was a great venue. We've met these amazing musicians, and it's been an absolute dream. I don't know what's happening with it, like for the future. I hope that it'll be one of those things that we come back to when the time's right and do another EP, and that's how we'll just kind of carry on going.
Sure, man, for sure.
Come together and do these things, and like this kind of Americana world is like our, that's where we love, that's what we listen to, and it suits our voices, and long may it continue.
Of course it will, man. Yeah, I look forward to the gigs. I'll come and see you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Yeah. So check out their music and stuff, guys. Michael and Michelle on Spotify. It's some lovely, lovely stuff there. Go check it out. And final two questions for you, Michael, today. So first of all, what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard at the beginning of your career?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard to say. Bit of advice. I'm working with Nigel Harman at the moment, and he's amazing. He's the meditating actor. Do you know his stuff? He does stuff on Instagram where he does these meditations and stuff.
Okay.
And he says a few things, like he says a thing about don't throw seeds in the sand. And I've been thinking about that. I don't know why I'm saying this now, actually, because it's not like a big kind of piece of advice, but I'm very much someone who's trying to like basically people please the whole time and going different places, trying to hold everyone's like thing. And it's kind of, it makes me kind of lose my sense of like who I am. And I think as an actor, you just have to have a very kind of robust sense of who you are and what your need is to do the job and why you're doing it, and so that you can kind of keep that intact and not be pulled in too many different ways, and put effort where you don't. I don't know if that's the bit of advice I give. I mean,
that's all right. I mean,
it's really hard to give. I think basically the only thing I think about when I'm on stage is just about listening. If I don't know what I'm doing, if I just do the listening bit,
it's so important.
Be okay. And like, actually, really, the best actors you watch it's just their quality of listening.
Oh, it's brilliant.
If you can just stand on stage and do nothing and just listen, then you're like, this really is most of the battle.
Yeah.
Because then anything that comes will feel like it's happening in real time.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking a lot about don't throw seeds in the sand, because I think it's about like just like investing and connecting with people that they're meeting you halfway, and I think you can get drawn into situations where they're not. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's where you should be putting your effort. There's a lot of distractions in our industry, and I think you have to just kind of nurture and look after the people around you that are making that have a similar sensibility, or like, that's where like the long term career is, I guess. If that's not too rambly to say it. Sort of
no, not at all.
If you look after your kind of your people in your house and your thing, I think then you're onto something.
Yeah, I think that alone is a great piece of advice to hear at the beginning. Yeah. Just protect yourself and make sure the people you are like care about the most, and make sure they're safe as well. And above all, just look after yourself. Yeah. Just listen.
I think it's a industry that can make you feel like you can drift quite far from yourself. I think you are constantly thinking you're not. Oh, if I do that, if I you know, it's like comparison is the thief of joy. It's like if you're looking outwards too much, you're never going to find the thing. And if you can just keep yourself intact a bit and nurture the things that are important to you, then the right sort of work will come your way, and it will, you know, people talk manifestation stuff. But I do think that's true, because it sort of sets you up to bring stuff into your life, the people into your life that you want to make work with and you want to spend your time with. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Don't drift too far from that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Sound bit of advice there, man. Don't worry about it. And finally today, what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had up to now in your career that you'll never, ever forget?
I you know, it's very, very recent, but with Fear of 13, like that was just, I would have to say it's the most unbelievable experience. And yeah, the whole company and Justin Martin. Did you say Justin Martin's been on here?
Yeah, I've interviewed Justin. Yeah,
Yeah,
great man, great man.
Yeah, and I just loved that show, and I loved standing on stage with Adrian Brody every night at the Donmar, going toe to toe with him. I just was like on, you know, I was playing his lawyer, and it was just felt like a great privilege. And I think at the timing of him talking about The Brutalist, and he then went off after we'd finished, and then, you know, it's had this amazing like Oscars and just everything. It's like been kind of crazy. I just feel like, oh man, and I just feel like very proud to have had that time with him and with the whole cast, and it just felt like a great. I just feel really proud of it.
Yeah.
And I think I'll always feel that. I just like, okay, I stood on the stage and I did that.
Yeah.
And that was good. And you know what will be after that, but
Hey, it doesn't matter.
that was an amazing experience.
You have that moment. Yeah. Just very quickly, what's he like to work with, Adrian Brody? What's he like?
He's amazing. Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. Like because he hadn't done any theatre really since like high school. I think he'd done theatre.
Whoa.
And he's like he's you wouldn't know that. Like he was so playful and like generous, and everything each night would shift and be different, but in a really brilliant way. And we had a great cast, like Nana Mensah, who's an amazing actor. She was incredible in that play, and Ferdy and Cyril and Ree, and really like really amazing cast. So it wasn't just Adrian became part of the kind of theatrical company. This is what I love about theatre, is that you can't not be a part of the company. It's like it's a great leveler. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, you're still in a pokey little dressing room in you know, whatever, and you're still having to muck in and do the thing to make the, you know, someone drops on, you've got to pick up, but you've still got to just muck in and do it. You can't hide, so you're all kind of just out there like doing it, and it's a great leveler. And he is in himself very like humble with that stuff. So it's not like, I think he enjoyed that, getting involved in the company thing and it not being like number one on the call sheet and this kind of nonsense that comes with filming. You create hierarchies in theatre. There shouldn't be
No.
that at all, because otherwise it doesn't work. So it was awesome to work with, and really feel very privileged to work with him, because he's extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary actor.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big admirer of his, and I wish I'd seen Fear of 13, but of course the Donmar is so small, and I think it's about 250 seats or something. You know, anyway,
it's less. It's like, it's not much bigger than Pug. It's like 210 seats. It's like, it's actually quite tight.
Yeah, tickets just went like absolute gold dust. So
I know.
Yeah, God,
we'll see. Maybe it'll come back. Hopefully,
I hope so. Yeah, and of course, Justin asked you to come back. What would you say?
If Justin asked me to do anything, I will do any job that Justin wants to do. He is the man. You know, actually, I had to say, because even from the audition, like, he loves actors. Like, anyone who's auditioned or worked with him will tell you the same thing, that in the audition, you're just like, oh my God, I just feel like I can just do the work I sort of imagined in my head, because you have this amazing support. He's a real champion of actors, and and that's why he is one of the best around. Like, he is just, and he gets these extraordinary performances from people because he gives people such confidence, and he's just irreverent. And I'm sure that you felt that when you were chatting to him. He doesn't feel like a kind of like he's taking himself too seriously or things like that, or he's a director throwing his weight around. He's not like that at all. He's just a really like straightforward, straight talking, very kind, and gives you so much confidence that I honestly, man, I'm really hoping he does ask me again at some point this week. But yeah, I would love to work with him. I'd work with him again.
No, you and me both, man. Yeah, I mean, I remember our interview. I think he only literally had about 45 minutes, and I was just like, I wish I had him for like 2 hours because we could just talk and talk. But I just thought, hey, look, just get the time in while you can, man. And definitely a part 2 episode coming out. I'd love to do another one with him. So Justin, if you're listening, I'll be in touch. Anyway, Michael, this has been absolutely incredible, man. It's been so lovely, not only just to meet you, but just talk about Downton and your theatre experiences, your music, and everything. And let's do this again, man. I'd love to continue this chat at some point.
Yeah, great.
And we look forward to the last bow of Downton Abbey in this September. So. Yeah, if you could sneak me in.
Very much, man.
Yeah, sneak me in for press night. Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, all right.
I'm joking, man. I'm joking. Although if there is a spare ticket, I'm your guy. So I'll be there, man. I'm joking. Anyway, Michael, this has been fantastic, man. If you just hang on, I'll finish the recording and we'll have a little debrief afterwards. But this has been just a lovely interview to have, and just thank you so much for your time, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you.
Nice to chat to you.
Yeah, adieu, man. So guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast. I'll be back very, very soon. And Michael Fox, thank you, man.